Just a moment here. There we go. Okay, so I got a question. If you can, is it possible to scalp these market conditions? It absolutely is, and I think there's more opportunity. However, there is definitely a lot of challenges to it. It did take me some time to figure out how to do this. It's different. So a lot of the videos you watch, I have. A lot of the videos you watch that I have, definitely a lot different because the market's a lot thinner. So it's not, a lot of the games you see in the order flow aren't quite there anymore. So it's the one thing I found is just really good momentum scalps work, and you're not looking to fade the market. You're looking for a nice area where the price is going to blow out. At least that's the way I do it. It's very challenging. The market's absolutely super thin. So what do I mean by that? So if you look at every average price here, I don't even know if I'm trading yet. So every price here is around 20 or so, 30, 25. That's very thin. When you look at my other videos, you're seeing about 250, 300 maybe on average per bid or ask. So it doesn't take as many contracts to move the price around as far as market orders go. So what's going on is the market's thinned out, so a lot of your short-term traders they may be participating, but they're on the sidelines, and a lot of investors and long-term traders in general, well, more so investors, a lot of people are getting out of the markets. So anytime you see liquidity, meaning a large bid or ask come on the market like 100 or 200, or hell, the other day I saw 2,000 bid come on, it immediately got filled by small orders. So anytime somebody's trying to provide liquidity, it may bounce the market once or twice, but for the most part, there's a little bit of manipulation, but for the most part, liquidity provided is usually going to get filled and taken out. Depending on where it happens, and just all these other factors, the price might zip through the large size once it gets to it. And when I say large size, I mean like 100, because 100 is relatively large for how thin the market is. So it's a lot quicker movements. I do like it. It was definitely a challenge to learn how to trade. I'm pretty sure I have a really good strategy going into this. You definitely have to be on top of your shit. This isn't, I don't know. It really depends who you are as a trader. If you're trying to use order flow for more position trades, I just can't do it. I mean, my strength is momentum scalping. So when you're looking at the trades, anything, I mean, a lot of these trades are a few seconds. I got a 10-second one, which is the highest one, which was the worst trade, actually. I choked up on that one. So what I'm really looking for, I don't care about the profits necessarily as much as I do these two things here, the MAE and the MFE. MAE is how many ticks the trade went against you while you were in it, and the MFE is how many ticks went in your favor while you were in the trade. So I'm looking for zeros in the MAE, which I have about 6 of them, I believe. Ones are good, but you can see around, I mean, clearly we had 8 and 11 here, but other than that, theoretically, I could run a stop loss at 5 ticks. I don't really like to do that. I want to kind of sort of manage it myself, but I'm fast. This is a perfect example of me choking up, which I might show you that trade. I'll show you a few of these. I'll show you some of the good ones because there's just too many to go over. But what I'm doing is I'm running Strategy Manager on Jigsaw. So basically you can see I'm trading 4 contracts. So basically when I get in the trade, I have it to where it scales out to after 5 ticks profit. The reason being is I noticed there'd be a lot of times I go for these particular trades, which all these trades are the same strategy, by the way. I just want you to be aware of that. And anyways, so all these are the same strategy, just little momentum trades. So anyways, after 5 ticks profit, it pulls out 2, and I try to hold the other 2 for the first leg of where it struggles. As soon as it struggles, I'm out. It needs to work out relatively immediately. There's a lot of experience to figuring out when the hesitation may fail and when it won't fail. And then again, there's been plenty of trades where I left lots of money on the table. Even though I have this much MFE, there could be more. I just had closed the position. So some of these could be in the 20s, 30s possibly. But that's just what works for me. I'm not trying to squeeze everything out of these trades. There's plenty of opportunity. So yeah, it was a pretty good day. I'll have to admit, this is pretty hard to do in normal market conditions. So I think it's fantastic. I like the way the markets are trading right now. For the way I trade, it's great. It's hard. It's definitely hard. You gotta know what the fuck you're doing. I think this is definitely I think this might be a little harder for a newer trader to be able to do. But if a newer trader does get into this and they get used to this, they're definitely going to struggle when the markets go back to normal conditions, because that's just a different game. So when people say certain strategies may not work in the future, this is what they're talking about, are these conditions. And just because something no longer works doesn't mean it can't work again, because there will be a day where you can't do this anymore. So I'll show you my Sierra charts. It's a 1 minute. It has a profile off to the side, but it's reset. So maybe I can show you this. Give me a second. This is what it looked like near the end of the day. So all these arrows are what trades I took. I'll get more in depth to that, and here's what the profiles was looking like. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for points of controls or high nodes, more so the bigger one. So that's what I'm looking for, but what I'm really looking for are pivot points. So a lot of these arrows, I got in at the base of them. So give me a second here. So I know these look like shitty positions, but like I got into that twice. I'm not looking for this entire move. That's not what I'm looking. I'm looking at a 1 second chart on Jigsaw, and this is a 1 minute. And what I'm looking for are key pivot points. So right here, where my crosshair is, notice how it pivots right here and goes back up. And then it comes back down. And what I do is I get in where basically where the base of these arrows are, not where the point is. I manually drew those in so they're not accurate. But I basically, this is 22, 37, 25. That was a good trade, so I'll show it to you. So I basically got in right here at 22, 37, 25, or possibly 22, 36, 25. Yeah, somewhere's in there. Wait. Yeah, I got one. We'll see. We'll look at it. So we'll just take it one trade at a time. So that first trade, trying to look at the open position, 1237. So 1237. Give me a second. It is going to be crappier quality. Now, the font on my DOM is shrinked. I shrank it by quite a bit so I can see more. Because the moves are so big and violent that I can't really see them because they go off the chart. So I lose track of certain patterns. That's why I'm running a 1 minute chart currently, is so I can keep track of these major pivots and these certain patterns. So I think the font's at 10 on here. And then I have another one that's even smaller on another screen, like 8 or 6 or something. So I can see the heat map on a 2-second or 1-second, and I can see more of it because I want to see these micro movements, these micro pivots, which you're not going to see all of them on the 1 minute. So there's more noise in here, but I need to know what the noise is. I need to know everything tick by tick. I mean, obviously I'm taking trades that only last a couple seconds, if that. So every little thing is pretty important to me. So let's look at the first trade, which is 1237. I'm going to match it up to make sure that this is right. Yeah, this is 1237. So this is actually at 1236. So we're looking around 37.25. So I mark a pivot way up there. I actually think do I take a trade around there? No, I don't know. I don't know if I take a trade up there. So this and some days are way faster than others. Sometimes you'll just see like 1s and 5s on each price level. Today I would consider normal, even though it's not normal, but some days are just entirely too fucking fast. And that's part of why I was running the thing where I take five ticks profit off of half my size. So out of two out of 4 lots, I take 5 ticks immediately when it goes in my favor, because sometimes it'll pop up on average around 5, and if it's going to fail, it's going to fail right around there, and then it'll come back down. And if I can react quick enough, I may take a little bit of money off the table. If not, that win will cover some loss. So, for instance, this $50 win, that's a 1-tick win actually. This $87.50 win, this was actually a loss. So I took a little, and I know the MFE is a little screwed up on this one. Some of it is a little screwed up, but there's certain trades where I take just a little bit of loss because I believe 5 ticks at 2 contracts is $125. So what happens is when I take a loss, I can afford to take a few more ticks and still have some profits, like this 87.50. And then I try to so a lot of these bigger winners is off 2 contracts, and you're seeing that I took profits at 5 for half the size, if that makes sense. So half of this 375 is 5 tick profit on 2 ticks, or 2 cars, and the rest of this, if I captured all of it at 11, which I probably didn't, then 375, the rest of it was made off 2 contracts, and I held it for the rest of the leg. And that's just to kind of lock in profits right off the bat, because that makes me feel good, and that's called ringing the cash register. That's something I like to do. And also, it just kind of buffers the loss. A lot of this trading, you need to at least be trading too, because you can definitely hedge yourself by taking profits slightly earlier on the first contract. So if it goes really quickly and it fails, you have time to react and get out, and the loss, some of the win you locked in is going to make up for the loss, so you're still in green, if that makes sense. So what we're looking for is, I think it's at 37.25, so we're right around here. So I'm looking at my 1 minute. I know that somewhere, yeah, I think so, somewhere's in here, 37 even maybe I take. This should be it. So see how it's bouncing right off 37.25. So if I cut back here, here's where it originally tested. So I'm gonna ultra zoom in on this thing. So right here, here's that original pivot point. This is a 1 minute candle. This is right where my crosshair is. It's purple, that pivot right there. I don't like this crosshair. Yeah, there we go. This right here, this is where I was looking for to get in the trade. This is what I'm looking for, these sort of pivot zones. And I'm not sure what it looked like on the profile, but if these pivots happen right around a VPOC or a point of control, that's even better. Usually you get a better pop. And if it happens around even numbers, like I'll show you one that happened around 2200.00. So if you got a bunch of zeros at the end of a number, those are like psychological levels, so those tend to be good. And you're looking for a pivot first, so I look for a nice pivot with a solid pullback. Not like this shit. This isn't a good enough pivot. Like this is good. And it's easier to see on the 1 second chart than this 1 minute. And then it comes back. So I'm basically getting in right where this pivot stopped, about a tick under. So I'm getting at 37 even. You see, and it works against me. That one was a little choppy. And here you see the 2 queuing out for 5 tick win. I'm still holding 2. Still holding 2, and then I get out right there, right when it kind of starts to go back. Because that's all I'm looking for out of these things. I'm looking, a nice 10 ticks is good for me. And that was actually a nice exit, too. See how it comes back up? The market's just too unpredictable that if you're trying to take these longer-term trades, you're going to sit in some nasty heat. And for me, it's just not worth it. And this is what I'm good at. So we'll look at the next trade, which this is a good one. This one goes immediately in my favor. You can see the MAE 0 and it is 8. So we'll look at this one, which is at 1247. So we'll cut it over here, and we're going to look at so see this one pivot, this red bar right where my crosshair is, it turned blue right there where this green arrow is. I can get in somewhere around there. So I'm getting in right around here. Here we go. Let's go ahead and look at it. Actually, this is more of a... Where do I get in on this one? This is actually a nice pivot right here at this... Right here at this 47.55. So, oops, sorry. So look at this nice pivot here. Really hardcore. And the profile looks like shit in these markets, so it's hard to really play structure. That's why I want to look at it on Sierra charts. That's another thing. Do a 49.75. Looks like I go at 45. So this isn't like a major 1 minute pivot. This is more so a nicer pivot on a 1 second chart. Because that other high is up here. You can barely see it. Way over here at 49.25. So if we cut back, yeah, right here, this is where that other high is. So you can see how much more noise there is on the 1 second. But this is still a nice pivot here. And I just lay out market orders. I don't try to queue up because that means the trade's going against you if you're trying to queue up. So I'm not trying to queue up. I market order in. I set a resting market order, and then I hit a flat key. I hit flat, which is a hot key. Ooh, I canceled that. Oh, I canceled that. Good thing I canceled it, too. It just, look, that's all it gave me. So sometimes you'll have this, like, double bounce. And if it's like really chopping, if it has a little bit of chop near the entry zone, it's just not good. Where do I take the entry? I just take it at 46. I don't think this is that good of a trade. I mean, it works. clearly, and then I get out of it right there for the other two. So probably good. See, that's about it. Let's see if we can find a better one. We'll go ahead and look at this one's good. This 350. We'll do this one. We'll skip that other one. 1256. Ooh, I didn't show it to you. Did I not show you that trade? I'll show you the trade. So look, I put in this high here, and this isn't like a good enough pivot point. I'm taking a smaller one. It's not like a rock solid one on the 1 minute. I'll take some of these like smaller scaled pivots, but I cancel it because it double tops right here. But then it, see how it's chopping in here? I don't like that, and it can shake you out. And there's the shakeout. But I'm pretty quick about it. I'm surprised it didn't want to go to that 190. There's 5. There's 2 ticks for 5, or 2 contracts for 5. So I get out only maybe about a tick above. So I take 6 on the other 2, possibly. I'm not sure, but we'll look at this 350, which it's 0 and 14, and that's at 1256. So at 1256. This 1255. It's not a good one. Oh, it's a smaller pivot, and that's why this green candle, it kind of pivots in there, so you'll see it. We'll do that. 1256. Let me see here. Is it at 1256? Oh, it's actually this red arrow down here. These 2 trades are relatively close to each other. So let me go back because we can watch this one. See how it has this nice, oops. See how it has a nice pivot here? And comes back up. I kind of like that. And the profile structure may have been up to something, but it's not always like this. This isn't always like a thing. Like, you can get hurt pretty bad on these. It's hard to explain exactly what I'm looking for in it, because sometimes I cancel a lot of orders that I know end up failing. See, this one's getting a little wonky there. It could easily blow through that 40. But at the same time, that 55 wants to get filled. See, that's just where immediately goes in my favor. And then there was 70 here. It wanted, yeah, I got out of that. And then I end up getting back in here. Relatively quickly. I don't remember why I get back in. Because I don't have the profile, so I'm just missing context. This point of control I have marked out, so it's at 31 even. It needs to bounce and kind of go away from it a little higher. Do I not take it there? Should be entering a trade somewhere. See, that's too much noise on that point of control. That's not, you want a hard bounce off of it first, then you can get on the other side of it. Okay, what am I looking for? I don't know why I chose that. Oh, that's why I chose that. Where this green pivot is right here, this is a good one, actually. Where this green pivot is, you have a nice pivot right off here. So you can see where this red arrow is. This is where I'm going on the base of this arrow at 27 even. I'm getting in right around there because I know there's a high probability it's going to blow out. So That's a bigger version of this pivot play that I'm doing. But some days it's so fast that you experience pretty bad slippage. So let's see it. Because I'm looking. Yeah, I'm getting right up in here. 2675. What am I doing? Oh, because that's one tick under where the green pivot is. This green candle or bar. It's one tick under it. That is at 27 even. And I try to front run the 27 even because it could hard bounce off it to the money. So I usually get one tick below. It depends if there's any size there. Immediately blows through, fills my shit. I'm still holding, and then I get out there on that pullback. And a good thing I did, because it does pull back up a lot. And you really don't know where this is going to go. So clearly I could have stayed in it, but did I know that was going to happen? Does that always happen? No, it doesn't. But I feel like on these bigger version things that these bigger pivots that aren't off the 1 second, they're more off key areas on the 1 minute. They tend to have more of a blowout, but not always. Like there's an area where I bought a low. Like this one was not that great. And if you go back, there's really no good pivots for this particular arrow. Let's see if this one was any good. That one is ain't really worth the shit. It's only 125. Let's see this 375. That one looks good. That's at 112. 112. So this green arrow. And when you look at the green arrow, you're like, dude, that's a top. Well, I mean, yeah, but it yielded me 375. That's one of the better trades of the day, actually. That's a really good trade. So, like, even though it looks like I just got in at a top here, I mean, it's still a good trade. Let's see if there's a pivot point in there. Because there's no real good one. It might be a 1 second pivot or something. That's at, what time did I say that was? Is that 112. It's 111 right here. And this is a long, and it's because there's this nice pivot, this hard pivot. And it's at 2220.00. And it's a kind of a higher node. You can see the contracts are a little more, and I write hard pivot where certain things are. So I'm looking to get on the other side of it, and it's got that nice pullback, like a high velocity pullback. That's what you're looking for. You're not looking for these little shitty pullbacks, and I'm not looking for this getting embedded and chopping and putting in multiple tests of that area. I want one test with a really high velocity pullback, and then I'm going to get in on the other side of it. Notice I'm right one tick above where that pivot was. Oops, let me cut it. So look, again, here's that high velocity pullback right here. I right pivot, and now I'm getting in one tick above it. And this is a 1 second. This is why I took this one. Look at that 200. That doesn't freak me out because I know it's going to get taken out. See how it, and when you have that number there, when you have large size there, it tends to blast through. Not always, but sometimes it does. And I got somewhere out in there. Let's look at a loser. Let's look at this loser. No, this is more of an average loser, I would say. Or let's look at the break even. 123. So it's somewhere right where this green arrow is. I don't know what I was looking for in that. But you can see there's no real good pivots. This would be more of a better trade. See how you have this pivot here? And then, you know, going long here would ideally be good. But I'm not sure what it was that I was looking for on that one. Let's not do that. See, and I tried to go for a pivot here, and it failed. At what time? 140? 140? Oh, that's a loser. So let's watch that at 140. 140. And it's the auctioning pattern and process is still there. I have a few videos, like One Good Trade, and there's a playlist with all of them you should watch. So, because there's this hardcore pivot. So what I'm looking at is there's a hardcore pivot up here at whatever price this is, $28.75. So I decided to go against. It's really not that good of a pivot. I mean, it's good, but it's not like something like this. And we'll show you this trade, which that yields $225. Not much, but I could have probably got more out of it. We'll see. But that's more of a solid pivot, so we'll watch that one next. But we're watching this one, which turns out to be a loser. So again, I'm one tick above, and it doesn't. There's some size up there that kind of knocked it down. That was been resting, and I get out. Like I get out. It gets worse. So you know I had to get out of it. So you can see that I didn't hesitate to get out of that one, which is good. Which is real good. So, you know, you have this 68 up here. Let's see how. Clearly, there's been something. It gets up there so fast, I can't even see it resting. I mean, there's size there. See, and I need this to be expanded so I can see higher. You got this 88 here. And it just bangs into it, and it goes down. Like, size resting still kind of holds up. And you had 94 here, and it got blown through, but it had just come on. Because it wasn't there when it went up. So the next trade is this 225. What is this 425? That looks good. What is that one at? Oh, down here. Yeah? I don't know. We'll look at this one. So to see this nice pivot, I get in at the base of this arrow. So it's at 39.75, and it's at 142. Ooh, it looks like it happens to be a point of control. Not having the profile to reference things kind of makes this not as clear. Some of these, like, referenced areas, let's see where it goes. Because this is where I lost that one trade. It's just... So again, that 39.75. Oh, that's way up there. Did I not mark this in correctly? At 49. Oh, it's at 149. What the fuck, then? Oh, that 142 I didn't mark. So we're looking at this 425 one, 0 and 12. That's really good trade. And that happens to be this other arrow. So it's a solid fucking moneymaker. And again, it's a really good pivot zone, solid pullback. It's not like these little bullshit pivots, which they work. But, I mean, you're looking for the more key areas on the 1 minute. So, again, this is a 1 second. And that happens to be at, again, 39.75. Let's see if I get in it. Somewhere around there. Look at that 190. Watch it get blown out. See how just bouncing off of it, 200. Seeing it just aggressively gets attacked and it blows through. So size doesn't really do, I mean, it's kind of the same as normal conditions. And the quality's shittier because if I stream in 1080, it lags the computer up, and now's not the time for that. What am I looking for? For that, it's got to be that 39.75. See, I'm looking at Sierra charts right now. And I go 40. Yeah, and it's a high node too. And look, there's size defending it because it was a rotation, and you'll notice that happens sometimes. And that size, it will get blown through. See, and I cancel because I don't want to be exactly on that 84. I want to be behind it. I'm not concerned about the 65 above it because it could get ran over. Boom. I don't know when I got out of that, but that one was good. It's such a fast fucking trade. We'll look at the best trade. We'll look at these last two, but we'll look at this big loser. And I'll show you where I fucked up on that one. Which that's out 235. So I gotta actually pull up because I split my recordings up, so it's easier to fast forward and rewind with more precision. So again, it's at 235. So we're looking at 235 right here. This is, I buy this fucking bottom or sell this bottom. This is the bottom of the afternoon too. I'm going based off this previous test, which again, it's not the best pullback. Like this particular trade here, which is the last trade, this is just a better trade. Well, it's at, you know, like you have a more of a solid pullback right here, and that's why entering here just is better than a little pullback like this. This isn't that good looking. You know, like right here where this green bar is, I got in right above it here. So I'm taking like scalps in areas that I'm looking at pullbacks on the 1 second too that fit the criteria. So again, we'll see how this one fares. What is it at? 35, 235. So you can see it put in this low here. $190 is a point of control, but that's why it's chopping on it. So a lot of the price action that I explain in some of my older videos, it definitely applies, or my newer, older videos, it definitely applies to this. I'll put a link in the description of which videos you need to watch to understand my price actioning. It's just good to know, but there's 200 at this 185, and the thing is this is a low. This is definitely a low, so we're like here. And if you look at the bigger picture of things, you know, if you look at the bigger picture of things, I just don't feel like zooming out of this. I'll just fucking do it. Here's that right down here. I mean, look at the bigger picture of it. It just, there's a lot of absorption going on in here. So that's what's going on. Even though it's several points up, there's just a lot of these transactions, and you can see on the footprint, it's got these large nodes and shit. So I basically get in right at the bottom, and I'm like, I know I need to get the fuck out of this at this point. Sometimes it does this like butterfly where it does a slight pullback and then pops back down, but it should have done it, and I knew it didn't do it. Like sometimes it'll do that, come up to about here, depending, and then go back down. I just didn't do that, and that was the low of the afternoon. So the best trade. So on the best trade, what I do is on this particular trade, I take off the profits for the 5 ticks on half size and decide to let her run all the way on full size on all 4 contracts. Because this is a really key level, and it was a for sure trade, and which is the second to last green arrow, which happens to, whoa, fucking hell. Which this happens to be at right around, I get in at that arrow, 200. So it's right around 200, which I'm not looking at the pivot necessarily. It's just, you'll see. It's just this level I notice a lot of people are playing. It's at 237. So it's at 2200 even. Notice how I cancel that. Don't know what I was thinking there. So I know it's blown up, but again, I'm just looking for something. There's so much opportunity. The thing is, you can get really fucked. You can get on the wrong side. Yeah, see, this 2200, it's just, I mean, a lot of sizes traded there, double almost everything around it, and the number, and it made sense to get on the other side of this thing, because what happens is there's this hard bounce, and that's one of those psychological levels. I mean, we go from the 100s to the 200s here, and it has all the zeros. So it's one of those psychological levels. Like I bet 2100 would as well. I mean, just it's one of those levels. So I get on. There's 98 sitting right there, and it gets out of the way. See that? Shit, it's so fast. So right below me, you see 95. And it's a solid pullback. And yeah, there's 98 right here, and it just comes up so fast, but that's what I want. I don't want it to get back up there and just embed and chop. Then I'm going to cancel it because it's just probably not going to work out. It'll probably hit me in and then go against me. Sometimes it'll do that. It'll come up one extra tick and fall back in. So you see this 98, and it's just so textbook for a shorter term pivot. I mean, look how good it looks. Bang, bounces off. I mean, yeah, bounces in here a little bit, but I mean, it's 2200 and a nice solid pullback. And this size gets out of the way, that 95. And just, yeah, I mean, it bounces back a little bit, boom, and then it blows through. It actually, it looked like it slipped on some of the size there. It goes against me 4 on this one, and then it's, and I'm getting out right with his point of control is this 05. I actually hit the flat key. It doesn't fill me right there. And that was where I didn't want to take profits on 2 of them at 5 ticks. I held all 4 up there. That's why that was the better trade. And it was a good, I mean, look how it just falls back in. It's going to blow through 05 right here, but I'm not trying to hang out to figure that out. It might. We'll see. Let's see what it does. See, it's just too much bullshit. So getting out where I did was like perfect. The momentum scalp, yeah, it starts to settle in. Final trade, 0 and 10. Let's see, what was this one? Was it a good one or not? That was at, oops. Again, 0 and 10 on the MAE, MFE. And this one I put the strategy back to where I take half position off for 5 ticks. So theoretically, I am leaving a lot of money on the table. I get it, but there's a reason I do it. So it makes me feel better, and I'm not trying to squeeze everything out of it. But this is at 244, so again, a really good pivot on the 1 minute, and this one just blows up so good that I leave a lot on the table there. 2207.75. So again, solid pivot, come back, and again, the base of the arrow is what I'm looking to get in at 244. Again, that's what is that? 207.75, and you can't see the pivot on this DOM on this heat map, so that's why I gotta look at a 1 minute. Again, what does I say? 207.75. So I might go 208 on this one. See, oh shit. See how I'm looking for it though? Like I'm moving the mouse up because I know it's coming to that level. And I put it right at 208. Again, the pivot is right. If we look here, it's at the top of this is at 207.75, and I get 1 tick above that rotation because it will bounce at 207.75 and pull back, usually to the tick. So that's, again, why I go ahead and get in front of it. I mean, this thing's all over the place. It's winding up around that point of control at 05 even, and then it's bouncing off the 2200. That's where we took that other trade. So I know that I could get, let's see here. Yeah, I canceled the order off, and I'm coming back in. Because if it just goes too far, I want to. Yeah, so I'm deleting an old pivot. Or I know. Oh, shit, that blew. Look how bad it's slipping, though. It slipped, like, again, sometimes these move so fast, it gets me in. Look, it's only 4 ticks of profit on 2 instead of 5. So I'll experience slippage where I'll have an automatic stop, and maybe it'll be set at -5, which, I mean, I'm not running stops in this particular example. That's really stupid. But I'm not going to hesitate to get out of it. So there should be an emergency stop, and I usually do that, but not on this particular day. I got to figure out how to program it to give me a stop as well at 4 instead of 2. So I haven't figured that out, but things are really coming up there too. So I go exactly at, instead of 08, I go at 0775. It's weird that it got me in at 0725 instead of 0775. It just like, it got me in at a better price, which is weird. I don't understand that, but, and then I get out of it. See, I could have held that one for a lot longer just because, again, it's at this really solid pivot right here. You know, nice. Where is that? You know, just a nice solid pivot. And then I go for it when it comes back. And like little pivots like this just aren't worth it. You're looking for a bigger one. For these better pop outs is what I'm seeing, but you never know. So we'll watch it again. Like, it's really winding up on this point of control and shit. So, I mean, this thing's festering, trying to get up there. Boom, blows through, takes some profit, and then I get out right there. Could have held it, but I don't know, man. This thing could blow back down. I mean, there's too much hesitation there. So it did what it did, and it met my criteria. And I mean, in the end, yeah, it costs a lot of commissions and whatnot. But this, I mean, it was a good day. And it's, for me, it's more so about getting lower MAEs. That's what I want. I want basically my MAEs to be blank or as close to blank as possible, like 1 or 2. And that's it. And if I run 5 tick stop loss, you can see most of these trades would work out. In fact, all the trades would work out, and the ones that did go against me more than 5 were the losers or the break evens, except for this one. But yeah. So I find 5 tick stop loss to be pretty good if you're doing this kind of trading, but this is fucking hard. It's very profitable, but with a lot of reward comes a lot of risk, clearly. So that's how I'm doing it. That's the only thing I got working for me. But you know what? I'm going to just stick to the one thing because that's what works. I mean, trying to do all this other trick shit like reversals or double hits and stuff, it just doesn't work for me in these conditions, and it's just not there, and it's not worth it because there's just so many opportunities that I'll just wait for the next best one. So trying to get in twice in a row on something that you think should work out, it doesn't ever work out. I mean, sometimes it does, but I mean, to each their own. This is the way I do it. And there's other people making money on these things that are trading it differently. So, I mean, momentum scalps. Once the momentum's over, I'm out. And yeah, sure, I leave a lot on the table, but I mean, I'm getting into relatively high quality trades right off the bat. And even if they're like at crappier areas that look like shit on a 1 minute, it looks like a top or bottom on a 1 minute, it's still yielding me pretty good results. And that's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking to hold the fucker for 50 ticks. Because you don't know what you're going to have to sit through to get that. I mean, maybe you have to scalp your way into that position like 5 fucking times. And by the time you scalp your way into this 50 tick win 5 times, you know, you might be taking little losers, break evens, the commissions are adding up, and by the time I take 5 trades, those 5 trades could be worth, you know, 50 ticks. So, or 50 ticks worth. So, I mean, if you look at these top 3s, say I did nail my MFEs right off the bat. You know, say you're trying to scalp your way into a position, because you have to scalp your way into a position. You cannot take heat in this fucking thing, and it just is so wild that sitting there taking massive loss to hold a trade is just not worth it, in my opinion. It makes no sense to me, but again, to each their own. So I mean, the first one's 11, 8, 12, 14, 4. That's 49 ticks. So these top 5 trades are 49 ticks, all profit. And again, that's 49 ticks. And yeah, I mean, if you scalp your way into a 50 tick win 5 times, you know, you're making about the same amount of money, but because it's, you know, 5 times doing it my way, or trying to scalp your way in 5 times for one big position, because you have to scalp your way in. Maybe you play the VPOC or a major point of control, and if you do that, there's usually a lot of drama around there, and you might have to scalp your way in and out of the fucking thing 10 times, and you're not going to be taking break evens. You're going to be taking small losses. It just makes no sense. I mean, this is my strength. This is what I'm good at. I mean, clearly I attract other people that want to scalp. So, I mean, we're all on the same page. For those of you who don't want to scalp, I mean, I don't know any other way. This is a fantastic environment for what I do, and I think this is great, and I think there's a lot of opportunity, and you just need to know what you're fucking looking for. And again, if you're new, this is going to be very difficult, because you're not going to quite understand. There's certain things that happen that I can't even fucking explain. I just know. And if you don't, there's things you don't know that you don't know in this, and you think you do, but you don't. And I'm really not too focused on order flow, more so these patterns. Order flow does matter, and I'll like key in on it to kind of get clues and hints, and it's something I can't explain. I mean, you just got to watch all my fucking videos, and you'll start to pick it up. But again, it's experience, and hopefully you guys see how I'm doing it in these markets. Again, I got my face beat in at first trying to figure out how to trade these thin markets, and there's a few strategies I was trying. Oops, and that goes away. There's a few strategies I was trying, and they just caused too many problems. And this is the one strategy that's all I used for this particular day, and it just fucking worked out so good. And taking massive, like I would sit in 20 tick losses trying to get a hold of bigger positions, and it's just not worth it, because if you do take a 20 tick hit on 2 contracts, that's $500. And my thing is the trade size, 4 at least, with what I'm trying to achieve. So it just makes sense to do this, because I'm not trying to get this nasty drawdown like if something doesn't work out, because at $1,000 minus $1,000, I'm done for the day, because I'm taking a prop shop challenge right now, trying to get in, and it's been very difficult. And if I lose $1,000, I got to pay $125 real money to reset the account. So, you know, if I take at all these large tick losses on any size, it's bad. If I take 20 tick loss on, again, 2 contracts, that's minus $500. I can only do that one more time, and then I will have to reset my account. So this is what I have to do to beat that fucking challenge. And quite frankly, I just like it. And here's another thing. If you guys like what I'm doing, please donate to my coffee page. I'll put the link in the description. I'm out of work until May 1st. My part-time job is... I'm out of work, so this is it for me. And again, I'm taking a trading challenge, so I'm not really making this. So if you guys want to donate, you like what I'm doing, if this helped you, and if you're making a lot of money off what I told you to do, or, I mean, don't do this, but if you try it, I mean, again, you're doing it at your own risk. If you do make money because maybe something, I gave you a golden nugget, please help me out. All right, thanks.